Hey, what is up, guys? It's your boy Kingdom Soldier, and I'm back again with another gameplay slash commentary. So I got something special for you guys today. My wife and I today have celebrated 9 years of marriage and 13 years together. We started dating on May 24th, 1999. We met at a birthday party for one of her friends who was kind of a friend of mine. And all I remember is looking across the table, and she was sitting right next to him. And I just was like, oh my goodness, who is this lady? And I was in college at the time, and I was home for the summer. And I looked at my friend that was next to me, and I said, is that Joe's girlfriend? Joe was the name of the guy whose birthday it was. And he said, no, that's Tanya. They're just really good friends. And my mission from that moment on was to date her, and 4 years after that day, we were married on the 24th of May, and now today, 9 years later, we celebrate 9 years of marriage, and it has been awesome. And so I kind of wanted to give you guys, tips and tricks on marriage, and how my wife and I have made it work for all of these years. And you guys are going to see a dual com with me and my wife coming up shortly. We just kind of both have talked about it, and we bought, I went out and got Rainbow Six Vegas and Vegas 2, because that's the only first-person shooter I've ever been able to get her play. And so we're going to probably put up some Rainbow Six Vegas gameplay. Maybe today we'll record it because it's our anniversary, and we got the grandparents are going to watch the kids for us. So we're going to have the house all to ourselves. We're going to hang out. We went and saw Avengers last night. Awesome movie. If you guys have not seen it, check it out. It is much worth the millions and millions of dollars that it costs to go to movies these days. Man, movies and gas. I mean, I wish I didn't have to put gas in my car. I technically don't have to go to the movies, and so my wife and I never go. We watch Netflix, or we watch things on Zune and things like that, or we on demand. But we never go to the movies, and we did last night. So the first, thing I'll tell you guys, and I'm not going to put these in any kind of order, like tip number 1, tip number 2, because marriage doesn't work that way. And maybe that's the first thing I'll tell you, is that marriage is, oh, that was an epic little streak right there. Marriage is a decision between two people to make it work. That's ultimately how marriage works. That's the first thing I could tell you guys, is that marriage is not like, oh, well, if we live in this type of a house, and if we make this much money, and if we organize our family in this exact way, and if we have X, Y, and Z number of kids, and if we have 2 boys and 1 girl, and we live in the suburbs, and we have a picket fence, then everything is going to work out. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter if you're rich or if you're poor. That's why it's part of the covenant that you make when you get married. It doesn't matter. What really matters is that you and this woman, or you and this man, have made a decision together to make it work and to stick it out. And me and my wife, early on in our marriage, and still to this day, we had this joke because, now that we've been together for 9 years, guys, I mean, we've been in a relationship for 13 years. We don't really argue, because when we start arguing, we know that it's not going to go anywhere, and that at the end of the day, we're going to be smiling and laughing, and it may take a day sometimes, and so that's why we just kind of, when we realize that we're going to argue, we just get, frustrated, and then we stop, and then we just don't talk to each other for a couple hours, and that's our argument. That's about how much arguing we do as a couple, because marriage is a decision, and my wife and I decided from day one that leaving was not an option. Divorce isn't even it's not even something that, it's not a word to play with, it's not a term to play with, but it's not even something that is remotely in our minds, because leaving isn't even an option. We've been frustrated with each other. I've walked out of the house before we were married. We were at my house hanging out, and I got mad at her, and I walked out and I went for a bike ride. Even since we've been married, I've slept on the couch. She's slept on the couch, and it's not because the other one said, "You're sleeping on the couch." People sleep on the couch when they're married, for you young guys, but it's not because your woman says, "Go sleep on the couch." It's because you choose to sleep on the couch because you guys are in an argument and you're upset. And, disputes are gonna happen. You know, if you don't have disputes in your relationship, then something is weird. My wife and I have been, you know, there was a time in our lives where when I was in Bible college, when I was a lot younger, I didn't have a job for most of that time, and my wife was doing all the working, she was making all the money, and we were just dating at the time, but anytime we went anywhere, she would have to pay. I remember that there was, you know, a month where I wasn't able to pay my rent, you know, and it was the hardest thing to do, but I had to ask her to help me out, you know, and said that I'd pay her back and all this kind of stuff. And I remember at that time, like, that was when I could have lost her. That was the moment, you know. And for you guys that are not married, even if you're engaged, until you are wed, your wife doesn't belong to you. You know, that's just that's the nature of the marriage relationship is like, you know. And I remember telling my wife this and that, and this and that, and she would be like, "I don't see a ring on my finger," you know. And I thought she was joking, but she was, you know, dead serious. It's like marriage is a covenant that two people make between each other to remain together through thick and through thin, and thin is going to be a part of your life as a married couple, you know. There was a time when both of us worked and we were balling out of control, you know, but now I have a good job as a store manager at Starbucks, but I also have 3 kids, you know, and 3 kids, man, 3 boys, I tell you guys, they eat a lot, a very lot. But my wife and I have just made it work by sticking to that first decision. Man, my poor teammates, they just got mowed down by that guy. This bank, by the way, secret little tip here, banking flashes off of that wall, it will help you immensely instead of just throwing a flash through there. When you bank them off the wall, it bounces off the other wall on the other side, and you don't have to stand out in the opening in order to bank it. And you'll get a lot of kills that way on Village. Anyway, there's not really a flow to this commentary, guys. I just wanted to talk to you guys briefly and let you know, I couldn't be happier. And if any of you guys are trying to say that you don't want to get married and you don't want to have kids, not having kids, that's actually something that can be possible. I have a coworker who has decided that him and his wife are not going to have kids, and they've just made that decision as a couple. It's weird, though, because they don't have pets either. But I would say that getting married, best decision I've ever made in my entire life. Most important and best. Your wife or husband, your spouse is the most important person in your life when you get married, and after you get married, and into the rest of your life. You know, your kids are going to end up leaving. They're going to grow up and they're going to move out and they're going to have their own kids. But the marriage relationship is the most important relationship in your life. And if you're already married, and if you feel like you're not happy, you're gonna feel like that sometimes. There's gonna be days where you're like, man, I don't love this. You know, I don't feel like I felt when we first got together. You know, and it's that feeling. There goes the bank. Kill. That feeling of, you know, not being happy. That's gonna happen all throughout your marriage. It's gonna happen for the entire life of your marriage. And you know, your job is to remind yourself consistently of the decision that you made. The decision that you made to be married and to stay with this person, and to build a life and a future with them. Your life and your future can go any number of ways, and it's important that, you know, you remember that you made the decision. It's not you will drive yourself crazy trying to blame your spouse for you not being happy. You know, oh, she doesn't do this and she doesn't do that and she's not this way and she's not that way. You're not perfect. And unless you are perfect, don't look at your spouse and try to blame them for your marriage not being perfect. I hope that this has been good for you guys. 36-14, Gold ACR, Kingdom Soldier. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.